Back in July of this year, the subcommittee that I chair on Contracting Oversight held a hearing about heartbreaking incompetence at Arlington National Cemetery. Because of a series of management errors, bungling, neglect, the contracts that were supposed to be executed to make sure that we were keeping track of America's heroes in our most sacred place in this country, we discovered that, in fact, the officials at Arlington National Cemetery weren't sure who was buried where. The reaction I have had to that hearing has been so reassuring, because as I travel around Missouri, person after person comes up to me. So many veterans. Thank you for getting on top of this disaster at Arlington National Cemetery. Since that hearing, when it was very clear that there was no direct line of authority in terms of managing Arlington National Cemetery, that they had no problem issuing multiple contracts for millions of dollars and getting absolutely nothing for it, an acknowledgement that they didn't have a system that was adequately keeping track of the location of burial for potentially thousands of America's finest. We have continued to stay on top of this and have realized that more and more and more problems continue to arise. This morning it was reported nationally they now found a grave site that has 8 different urns buried. 8 different urns, cremated remains buried in one location with a tombstone that said unknown. And of course, they've been able to identify some of those remains. Gratefully, they have, and they are contacting those families. But as a result of the hearing, I filed legislation along with Senator Brown, who is with me on that committee, is the ranking member of that committee. Together, we filed a bill with a number of co-sponsors, setting up some basic oversight of Arlington going forward. Basic, but very important. Making sure that we have review of contract management, making sure that we have compliance with an Army directive, making sure that we have a report on the gravesite discrepancies that have arisen, so that we can be assured that every family in America that looks upon Arlington as the last resting place for their family members, so they can be assured that when they go to visit their loved one, they're visiting their loved one. So we filed this bill, Senate Bill 3860, and after we found out about these additional problems that have arisen, I feel a sense of urgency about this. Now, I know my colleagues on the other side have said we're not doing any legislation except making sure we get a tax cut for millionaires. I'm hoping they will make an exception to the rule. Because if we do not provide adequate oversight right now, when will we? Is there a subject more important for our oversight than making sure that those we should honor the most are in fact being treated with the kind of dignity and respect they deserve, rather than just being thrown in a gravesite that says unknown? So I am going to make a motion tomorrow. We'll be in session tomorrow for unanimous consent to pass this legislation. And I know I'm being impatient here. And we're supposed to let these things sit on the calendar for months and months, and we're supposed to hope that nobody puts a secret hold on it, and we're supposed to get frustrated at not knowing who's got a hold on it or why. And we got 38 members of the judiciary that have been sitting on the calendar that came out of committee unanimously. But no, we can't take those up. We can't do anything until we do unpaid tax cuts for millionaires. I'm hoping that my Republican colleagues will give the millionaires a rest tomorrow, get off the case of helping the millionaires and the billionaires, and let's unanimously pass this bill. That is the best we can do right now to make sure that our loved ones, because they're all of our loved ones, we love the men and women who are buried at Arlington National Cemetery. From John F. Kennedy to the soldier that none of us have ever met. We love these Americans, and we need to do everything we can to make sure there's proper oversight of what's going on at Arlington National Cemetery. So tomorrow, I'm hoping that we get an exception to the edict that we got from our friends on the Republican side of the aisle. I'm hoping that they will allow this bill to go through by unanimous consent, because I will tell you, I'm not comfortable going home for my Christmas holidays with my family until I'm sure we've done everything we can for the families that lost loved ones who reached a final resting place on this earth at Arlington National Cemetery.